Hi. Oh, so many of you here. That's awesome. Well, it started now, so you're welcome. You can start refreshing your pages, and the video and the sound will show up. Hi, guys. All right, I'm actually gonna wait for everyone to join because I know we get some latecomers usually. So we'll wait maybe 2 minutes for everyone to join and then we'll start. In the meantime, just make sure you have all your supplies. You're gonna need your canvases, your brushes, all other useful things such as paint, paper towel, all those great things. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna give you all a couple minutes, maybe one more little minute to get ready and make sure everyone joins so we're not missing anyone. And then we're gonna start. And if you guys have any questions, ask away. That's what the live chat is here for. We're happy to answer all your questions to the best of my ability. Primary colors only. But if you guys have right here, you're free to use the pre-mixed colors. It doesn't have to be primaries if you don't want to. That's totally fine. You can do this with the pre-mixed colors. That's completely up to you. What city I am from? I am currently in Oshawa, Ontario. Yes, this will be definitely saved for later. So if you can't do it today, you can always come back and do it some other day. All right, guys. I think it's a good time to start. Welcome, everyone. If we haven't met before, my name is Vera. I'll be your instructor for tonight, and this is what I'm painting. It is super, super, super pretty painting. And let's go quickly through all our supplies to make sure we have everything that we need for today. And guys, you're free to modify colors here or modify this painting however you want. You can stick with my instructions and do it exactly like I'm doing. Or if you prefer, you can change colors. You can change colors on a background. You can change positioning of your branches. You can change colors of your actual flowers. You can change the size and the shape of your flowers. All that is completely modifiable. This is your painting, so make it unique to you. All right, so supplies. We're gonna need a canvas or a paper or whatever you prefer to paint on. I will be using canvas. It's pretty big. It's the same size as this one, which is 16 by 20 inch. So that's what I will be using. If your canvas is different size, that's totally fine. It doesn't have to be that exact size. And again, you can paint on anything else if you would like. You can paint on a plate, on a piece of cardboard, on a Tupperware lid, anything that you have, you can use. Now, next thing we're going to need is we're going to need a mixing palette. So just something to mix our paint on, whatever that may be. It doesn't have to be like actual plate in my case or actual palette, whatever works. All right, now, next thing we're going to need is a water. I have a water right here with some brushes. And as far as brushes, I will be using pretty standard set today. I'm going to be using 3 different brushes, large, medium, and small. In my case, my large and my medium are square, and I have a small detail brush. So let me show you. This is my large brush right here. As you can see, it's a medium square brush. Large square brush. I have a medium square brush as well, and I have a small detail brush. And for this, it's very important that you have a good detailed brush because there are a lot of small branches So for those, you need a really good detailed brush. The rest, it doesn't matter. You can do with any brushes, and you can even use paper towel instead of your brushes for the whole bag. That's fine too. Which brings me to our next point. We're gonna need a paper towel. So grab a paper towel or a napkin, or if you have, you can use reusable fabric cloth. That's even better, more environmentally friendly. I have a roll of paper towel right here, so that's what I'm gonna be using. And what else are we gonna need? We're gonna need paint, of course. I will be using primary colors only, which primary colors are yellow. This, as you can see, I have some yellows here. I have some pinks, I have some purples, actually a few different shades of purples. I have some green, I have teal, I have blue. So I have a lot of colors. If you guys have pre-mixed colors that you would prefer using, that's okay too. And yes, I am using acrylic paint, student grade acrylic paint. However, again, you guys are free to use any paint that you would like. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine or the same brand. The only thing I would say, don't use oil paint, just because this painting is not designed to be painted with oil paint, or at least I'm not going to be teaching it. So it can be painted with oil paint. So I wouldn't recommend it because it takes a while to dry. But acrylic paint, any other similar kind of paint will work just fine. All right, that's pretty much it. I don't think we need to have or know anything before we start. Now I'm gonna go through how we're going to do it. We're gonna start with a background. So we're gonna start by either brushing on or dabbing this colorful, beautiful background. So that's the very first thing we're gonna do here. And as you can see, there are lots and lots of different colors here. So we're gonna start by brushing them or dabbing them on. After we have that, we're gonna move on to our branches, and we're gonna add lots and lots of branches, starting with the biggest one, then smaller ones, and then the smallest ones. Do you see lots and lots of tiny ones? And once we have that, we gonna wait for them to dry up, and while we're waiting, we're gonna add some brown, some white, and once they dry, we're gonna add flowers. And flowers here, I'm gonna be doing in two different colors, in blue and in a pinky purple color, plus white highlights. Now, if you guys want to change colors, you're free to change them. It doesn't have to be those particular colors. And then we'll finish up with the middle of the flowers that we're going to do in black and in white. And that's pretty much it. Oh, and somewhere in between, we're going to splatter as well. Yes, guys, you can definitely watch on a replay. It doesn't have to be right now. If you feel like your internet is right now not super stable, the video is going to stay right here. You can access it at any time. We're not going to be moving it anywhere. All right, so how I'm going to do background. There are a couple different ways we can do it. So I'm going to show you a few different techniques on how you can do it. But in either one, you're going to start from the middle. We're going to start from this yellow right here, and we're going to make our way to the left side here. And we're going to work on our pinks and purples. And only after we finish this side, we're going to move on to this side. And again, we're going to start from yellow, and we're going to move to green, teal, dark blue, and even darker color on the bottom here. So we'll work from the middle out, one side at a time, because it's best not to mix colors such as pink and green. They just don't make a good color when they're mixed. So we're going to keep them separate. Communicate with me. If you need a couple more minutes, just let me know in chat. I need another minute or 2 minutes and so on. I'm going to give you some time. And when you're ready, feel free to say, I'm good to go, I am ready, and so on. And then we'll move to next step. All right, so grab your canvases and put a couple colors on your palette. I'm going to start with this warmer colors here. So if you have pre-mixed peachy colors, pinky colors, purples, you're welcome to use them. If not, you can grab yellow, red, and blue. So those are the three colors you're gonna need here. And white, of course. So all primaries except of black. Don't use black. So put them on your palette. Right. Let's use this one. yellow, red, blue, and white. So I'm going to start by grabbing my baked brush. Use the biggest brush that you have. And I'm going to dip it in the water. Then I'm going to grab some white, scoop it on the side. I'm going to grab some yellow. I'll mix them up and I'll make nice light yellow. And with this color, I'm going to go right in the middle. So somewhere around here. And I'm going to start dabbing. So there are a couple different options of how you can lay your paint on. You can dab or you can rub. Either one is good. And as we move later on to mixing colors, I'll show you more ways that you could use. This is definitely a good start. Either dabbing or rubbing, both of them will give you a really good look. It just depends on your personal preference, which look you prefer, and what comes more naturally. What do you enjoy more? I personally don't like the dabbing motion, so I'm going to be rubbing most of the time, unless I'm using paper towel, in which case I might dab a little. So do you see I'm adding quite a big chunk right here? And the reason why is other colors we're going to overlap over our yellow. So don't be afraid to add a little bit too much yellow, because then once we overlap other colors over our yellow, you're not going to see as much in the end. We're going to cover all around the edges with other colors. So do you see quite a bit of yellow here? Now, once I have yellow, I'm going to move on to a very light pink right here on the side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wash off my brush really well. I'm going to dry it on a paper towel, and with, again, clean, slightly wet brush, I'm going to scoop some white, add it on the side, and add just a tiny, tiny little dot of red. You see, just a touch, and mix it in to make nice light purple, light pink. You don't want too dark here. So do you see it's nice and light? You're gonna go a little darker, but not too dark. It still has to be on a lighter side. And now we're gonna start adding pink. And pink I'm gonna add around this section. And you wanna make it a really foggy transition into your yellow. So there are a couple different ways you could do it. One way is you add it here, and then you don't take too much paint on your brush. So if you did take too much paint, you can dry it off, or even dab it off on a paper towel. So do you see, to have your brush almost dry after that? And now you go over this edge where two colors connect with a dry brush, and you see I'm just rubbing it using my brush super, super flat. So that's one way to do this. And you see it creates a nice, beautiful, super light and foggy transition between the two colors. And now we can add a bit more of this pink here. So that's definitely one way of doing it that you could use. And overlap your yellow a little. Now let me show you a different way of how you could do this. So for different way, I'm going to grab, again, a bit of this pink color. I'm going to fill my brush with it again. But this time, I'm going to grab more paint on my brush. And I'm going to kind of blob it on right here. You see quite a few blobby brush strokes. Now, instead of using my brush, I'm going to grab a paper towel. And I'm going to go right here where the two colors connect with a paper towel. And you can either dab with paper towel, and you see it creates nice foggy transition as well. You see? Or you can rub with paper towel, and that will create the same kind of transition. So I would say try all three techniques. You can try dry brushing it with a very, very little bit of paint on your brush. You can try dabbing it with a paper towel, Or you can try rubbing it with paper towel. All of those are really good ways to overlap your colors and to connect and create a very nice, light, foggy transition between them. And I'm gonna add a bit more pink. This is not enough. I need more. Because again, other colors are gonna overlap over this color, so I don't wanna run out of it. I wanna see it in the end. That's why I'm gonna add a bit more of it here. And again, just to give you pink, it's super simple, just white and red, that's all it is. Just a little bit of red. And your colors may look different because we all using different brands of paint, right? And different brands of paint have different pigments in them. So you may not get the exact same pink, but it will be pink. And for this particular painting, if your pink is not exactly the same, that's okay. It's not one of those paintings where you have to be precise with color. For this one, you can replace every single color in this painting and it will still look fantastic. So don't worry if your color doesn't look exactly like mine, that's totally fine. It is not gonna affect your painting. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more of it. Now this, I think, is a good amount of pink. So now I can move on to a slightly dark pink. So what I'm gonna do, if you still have a bit of the color we used earlier, you can just grab a little bit more and you can use a little bit more red into the same color. Just add it in, make slightly darker pink. If not, you can mix it all again, starting from white. So again, just take some white, take some red. This time, just add a little bit more red and mix them up, and you'll see you will get beautiful pink that is a bit brighter. Now let's see if anyone has questions. Using small brushes for the same size canvas as mine is going to take you much longer. The smaller your brush is proportionally to the size of your canvas, the longer it's going to take you. So I would suggest if you actually only have small brushes and your canvas is pretty big, go with paper towels. Just blob it on and rub it with a paper towel. That way you're going to cover this large area of your background much, much faster than if you do this just using your brush instead of paper towel. All right, so let me show you what I'm going to do with this pink, and then I'm going to give you all some times to catch up. So I'm going to do exact same thing. You're going to go around your first pink, and you will overlap it. So you can dry brush it, rubbing it. You can just blob on a bit, and then grab paper towel and dab it. Again, I'm going to do mix and match, just so you guys can see how it's done. So for example, this, I just blobbed it on. Now I'm going to take a paper towel, and I'm gonna bring it in. Do you see? I'm dabbing, starting from where I laid my paint and then going in my light pink. So what it does, my paper towel picks up this fresh wet paint. It's gonna give you a very similar look. It's just different method. And it really is a personal preference of what you like more. Dabbing or rubbing, or you can dry brush it just like that with a little bit of paint on your brush. Just rub it in. All right, so do you see I added quite a bit of the darker pink, so now we can see our yellow, our light pink, a transition color that almost looks like orangey, right? When we're blending our light pink into yellow, that's what happened. and we can see our darker pink around it. And you see, I'm not doing it even all around. I'm doing some spots more, some spots left, less. I find it personally that it looks better when it's uneven, actually as uneven as possible. However, maybe that's not to your taste. Maybe you prefer it more even, in which case do it that way. That's okay too. Now I'm gonna give you guys a couple minutes because I saw some of you asked for a couple more minutes. That's totally fine. Just make sure you give me thumbs up when you're ready for it. Say, I'm good to go, I am ready, and so on. And that way I know that we're ready and we can move to our next step. But no rush at all. And guys, if you have any questions, ask away. This is what the live chat is for. And whatever I can help you with, I will be happy to do so. If I wasn't teaching this painting, how long would it typically take to paint it? Way less. I wouldn't tell you the exact number of minutes because I never timed it, but definitely way less. I think when we do anything just by ourselves, it takes faster because we so focused on just doing one thing, right? And with live events, a lot of the time what I do is I explain things and make sure you guys are up to speed and no one is falling behind and so on. So it does take a bit longer. All right, I see good to go, so that's good. Good question, should you paint the edges? If you can, absolutely, 100%. It's gonna look super, super cool if all your edges are painted. However, if that's already stressful in you, you're just trying to stay on the same speed with everyone, you don't have to worry about your edges now. You can always go to your edges later once we finish the front of our painting and just color match it. Yes, it's going to be a bit challenging to color match it all, but also it's not impossible. And in the end of the day, if you just want to paint your edges, you can just take black or one color, for example, purple or blue, and paint your edges with that one color. It doesn't have to match. But if you're up for it, please do. You can wrap the paint as you go, the same color right around the edge. And that way, when you finish it and you hang it, it's going to look like you literally wrapped your image around, which is a good look. All right, I see more good to goes, but not a lot. I'll wait a couple more minutes because I can see how many of us are watching, and I only see a couple good to go. So a couple more minutes and then we can move. For those of you who are wondering again where I am from, I am currently teaching from Oshawa, Ontario. Maybe some of you are my neighbors. I saw I had a neighbor from Ajax here. Hi, Ajax neighbors. Good question. Should the paint on a canvas be thick or thin? With this technique, it is pretty hard to make it too thick because when we're rubbing with a dry brush, we're already using paint pretty thin. However, you don't want to go too thin because you see here, it's pretty solid coverage. You cannot see any white spots of a canvas. So it should be solid enough so it covers all your canvas. You don't want it to be half transparent, but also it doesn't have to be kind of blobby because then it's going to be very hard for you to create this very light, fluffy kind of blending. So it's kind of mid-ground. And you will figure it out. Once you start doing it, you will get just the right amount of paint that should be in there. Hey, Oshawa neighbors, nice. Bowmanville, super close. And all the distant neighbors too. Awesome, now I see lots of thumbs ups. Yeah, guys, you might need to adjust the way you do it or how you use based on material as well, 100%. If you're using paper, it's not going to be exact same amount as you would be using with a canvas, just because it's a different medium. All right, so now I'm going to continue going this way because we want to finish the side first. So next thing I'm going to go on to is going to be purple, but it's going to be like a warmer purple. So using the same brush, I'm going to dip it in the water. And I'm going to make a bit more of that pink because I almost ran out and I need a bit more. So I'm going to start with white again. If you still have lots left, you have to start with white again. You can just use that as a base. And then I'm going to add red. But this time, I'm going to add way more red. You see, I'm adding way, way, way more of it to have like a super, super saturated pink. And then to that color, I'm going to add just a little bit of blue, just a touch. So not a lot, you see, a little. And I'll mix it up and I'll see. It may or may not happen to turn into your right color right away. And if it doesn't, that's okay. I'm going to fix it. So do you see, it got a little bit more purple, but it's not as purple as I would like it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another smidge of blue and add it in. And notice I'm not adding too much blue right away because you can add too much and it's going to ruin your color. And then you're going to need to mix from the beginning again. So just it's safer to add little by little always until you get to the right color and then you stop. So for me, I'm getting closer. You see it's getting more purple, but it's not there yet. So one more smidge. This is a good color right here. So I'm going to try it out and see. Oh yeah, that is beautiful. So do you see this color? That's what I'm going to use as my next purple. All right. No worries. If you guys just joining us, I would say try to rewind it and start from the beginning. Or if you want to catch up, we're not too far ahead. You can definitely catch up. Either works. Or you can watch this later. Alrighty. So now I'm going to grab this brush and this paint. And I see a question to show with tissue again. So I'm going to show you how to do it with tissue again. So again, now with this color, I'm going to go just around it. And I'm going to start somewhere here. Why not? So if you're using paper towel, you're going to need to blob it on a bit. So you have a nice amount of paint there. And then you're going to put your brush aside and you're going to grab a paper towel. And there are two different ways you can do it. You can dab it or you can rub it. So if you decide to dab it, you take a paper towel and you dab it right over the edge. Do you see where two colors connect? And you keep dabbing. Do you see it creates this beautiful, very, very foggy, smooth, very transparent transition in color. Alternatively, you can rub it. So it's the same thing, just instead of dabbing, you would be rubbing it. So both are really, really great way to do it. Great ways to do it. Or you can dry brush it with your brush, which is also a good way to do it, completely up to you. So let me show you where else I'm going to add purple, and then I'm going to check all the questions, guys, and I promise I'll respond to all of them just as soon as I add this purple on. And here you can go all the way to the edge of the canvas with this, because the next purple we can just overlap over this one. We don't have to leave empty canvas for it. You see all the way to the edge. However, to the bottom, I'm not going to go all the way. Technically, you can. Again, it wouldn't be a mistake because next color we can just overlap, but I personally wouldn't. I feel like that would be doing unnecessary work. You see I'm bringing it a little bit further this way too, just a little. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so I'm done with the shade. I'm gonna give you guys a couple more minutes to do this. So no rush. If you need a bit time, that's okay. Take your time. And I'm gonna see if there are any questions I can answer for you in the meantime. Should the paper towel be a little wet? In my case, I'm using dry paper towel because the moisture in my paint is enough to spread it. If your paint is on a drier side, you can always get it a little bit wet. So you will have to see. All right, so if you're not getting purple, there could be a couple different reasons. So let's talk about purple. Purple is a tricky color in general. Brown and purple are two very tricky colors. With purple, one thing that could be preventing you from getting good purple is the red that you use. If the red that you use is more like a fire truck red, more like orangey red, it has a hint of yellowishness to it, that could be the reason why you're not getting good purple, because you need to use a pure red. So a red that doesn't have any yellow mixed into it. Once you mix into yellow into it, it's going to be giving you more like a gray, maybe even browny tones instead of purple. Or it's going to be purple, it's just not going to be vibrant. It's going to be like a dusty color. So that could be one reason. If you find that your purple looks a bit browny or has the dusty tone, that could be because of your red. In that case, if you have pink, definitely use pink instead of red as a base for mixing purple. If that's not an option, then go with what you have. Just try to add a bit more red. Now, another thing that happens very often that I see people say that their purple is not turning out, it looks blue. Blue is a bustier color. If you add equal parts red and blue, blue is going to overtake it. It's not going to look purple. It's going to look bluey with a hint of purple. So maybe you just need a bit more red. So I would say try that as well. And continue adding little by little by little by little more red, and see if that helps. Or if you can, try using different kind of red, because that might solve your problem. Can you use alternative color instead of purple? Absolutely. Any darker shade that's compatible with pink will work, because we're using right now here warmer colors, right? All the colors compatible with each other. So here on the side, we're going to use colder colors. So we're going to move from yellow to green to blue. By the way, Lisa did an event a while ago, actually not a while ago, not so long ago, by the way, on color mixing. So if you guys want to check that out, because there's a lot of color mixing in this painting, and she went over most common colors and did a really good job. So if you want to go there and take a look, she will show you. It's actually on our YouTube channel, so you're free to watch it here. And she will show you there how to mix colors, how to get purples, how to get all those colors. So you're free to check it out if you feel like you're struggling with mixing in general and you would like a bit more information on how to do it right. Does the base color need to dry first if I apply purple on top? Not at all. It's actually easier if it's wet. If your looks brushy and not as cloudy, I would say use drier brush. That's one. If you're using the brush technique, you just need to use less paint on it. If you're using paper towel technique, you just need to dab longer. So you need to dab until you run out of paint almost on your paper towel. So you need to get it super dry. So just do it again, do it again. If you want to fix it, you can just grab a paper towel and go over the whole thing, just dab it a bit or rub it up. Just make sure you start with a lighter color and make your way to the darker. Don't start here and go on yellow, because it will contaminate your yellow and it's going to make it darker. Always start from here. So for example, you can use fresh paper towel to blend these two colors. And you can either use the same paper towel to blend the rest of them or grab fresh paper towel every time. That's completely up to you. Now, question about gel. I am not 100% sure if you, I'm sure you can, but I don't know if I would recommend it. I would say try it and see how it works for you. All right. If your purple took over and you ran out of yellow or pink, that's okay. Once you finish the whole background, if one of the colors got lost in process, that's okay. We can just make that more, make that color again, make more of it, and go right around it back. So don't be afraid. If you lost it, we will edit. Not a big deal. All right, good to go. Perfect. So now I'm going to move on to my final purple here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my large brush again. And using the same purple I just used as a base, I'm going to add a bit more red to it and blue, more blue this time. Do you see I'm making it bluer and darker? So this would be my next color. It is like a blue purple. And with this color, I'm going to finish up this bottom section here. And again, you can rub it, you can dab it, you can use just brush, you can use brush and a paper towel. All the techniques that I showed you here that we used to blend previous colors, so you can use the exact same technique for this purple as well. And also, do you see, when I'm adding paint right here on an empty canvas, I'm pushing quite a bit on my brush. I'm using a lot of paint and I'm pushing on it. Now, as I go further, I'm trying to not use too much paint, so I'm trying to empty my brush of paint on a white background first while I still have a lot of it. And then only when I run out of paint, or only when I have just a tiny touch of paint on my brush, I go into blending mode and dry brush it. And I don't push on my brush as hard. I'm trying to just rub it over the surface of my canvas. I'm not doing the pushing. I'm just doing light touch over the surface. But again, if rubbing or dabbing is not your thing, paper towel is there for you. And I'll let a little bit of this color on the very top right here as well to darken up this corner a little. Okay, this side is done. I'm going to give you guys another minute to do it. And when you have it, give me a thumbs up, say I am good to go, and then we're going to move to our blue side. And another thing you could do, I'm actually going to give you a second to do it, is change your water. All right, so how do you mix orange color? Yellow and a little bit of red, just a tiny touch. Also, if you need to add some white, you can add some white too. All right, I see some good to goes, which is great. Now, guys, if you have the side, go change your water. Let's start on the other side, the blue side, with a clean water. So our colder colors don't mix with our colder colors don't mix with our warmer colors. If you don't have ability to change your water, it's not going to affect your painting. You just need to make sure you dry your brush really well or wash it really well and dry it before you move to next color. But if you do have ability to change your water, please do. Just going to make your life a little bit easier. So I'm going to give you all a second to change your water and then come back. And I will do exact same. I'm going to go change my water and then I will come back. All right, I have clean water. Okay, let me see what comments and questions and concerns we have here in live chat. This is a fantastic winter therapy. I agree with you. It's been pretty cold last few days. What color was the last color? It was a purple, just darker purple. So do you see this one is a little bit bluer in a way? Just make sure you don't add any black to it. Just a bit more blue than to the first purple. How do you make dark blue? You don't make dark blue. You have to have darker blue made. You cannot make dark blue. But you don't need dark blue here yet. We're going to move on to blues onto the other side, and we'll get there. Yeah, I would not suggest mixing light blue with black, and I will tell you why to make dark blue, because sometimes it will just make it gray. If you want to get dark blue even darker, then you can mix it with black and it will work well. But if you mix light blue with black, it's not going to give you dark blue. It's going to give you more like a grayer blue or dimmer. Yes, it will be darker, but it will be also dimmer by much. And depending on the brand of paint, it can completely turn gray as well. But we'll get there, guys. Don't worry. We'll get to all the blues shortly. Just make sure you have your clean water. Ultramarine blue is totally fine. I would not suggest it if you have any other blues, then go with other blues. But if you don't have it, it will work. It's just because we're gonna make teal here. Teal is much better to mix with either primary blue or let me see if I have. No, unfortunately, I covered up the name of my blue. Let's see if I can remove a sticker here. Ultramarine blue is not the best for mixing teals, but if that's the only one you have, it will work. I would say if you have different shades of blue, for mixing teal, go with a colder one, the one that looks least like purple. That will be the best for you to mix teal. However, for this section here, for the darker blues, doesn't matter. Any blue will work. There's no particular blue that you have to use. Well, sorry guys, I can't seem to uncover the name of my blue, but it's likely primary blue because that's what we usually use. All right, so let's move to our side right here. And the first color I'm going to add here is going to be very, very light green. So what I'm going to do, now for this one, any blue will work. It's best if you have a primary blue or colder blue that has like a greener tone to it already. So even teal, if you have premix, you can use that. Just avoid purpley blues, the ones that look like purple tint. So avoid those, but really anyone will work just fine. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wash off my large brush, and very important thing here is that we keep that green very light. So I'm gonna start with white again. I'm gonna scoop some white on the side. I'll put it right here. Now to that white, I'm gonna start by adding some yellow. I'm gonna make light yellow first. And only once I have that light yellow, I'm gonna add a little bit of blue. And you see, turn into a very light green. And that's what you want. You want it to be nice and light. You don't want any darker than that. Well, maybe a little bit darker than that. It's dark here. It's important to keep it light. Yeah, you can use turquoise as a base or as a mixing instead of blue. That will be fine. That will work. Any blue or color you can use as a base to mix, but you need to lean to this color. You don't want to use blue or turquoise instead of this. All right, now I'm gonna go right here, and again, you can dab it, you can rub it, you can overlap it however you choose, but we're gonna add it right here. And you see, I'm overlapping my yellow, of course, but I'm also adding it over my purple, my pink, just a little bit, not too much. And again, feel free to use a paper towel if you would like. So you see I added quite a bit of yellow. And again, if you need to use paper towel, go for it. Wherever you need to add it, it's fine. And guys, if you're just joining us and you're not sure how to do those techniques, you can just start from the beginning of this video because we went over with the techniques here. We already did this whole half using 3 different techniques, well, or one of the 3, brush or dabbing paper towel or rubbing paper towel. So if you're just joining us now, you can just go back and start from the beginning so you don't miss anything and you don't miss the explanation on techniques as well. So some green here. Now, once we have green, I'm going to move on to my second color, which is going to be teal. Now, for this one, if you can avoid using ultramarine blue, that would be the best because ultramarine blue is a warmer blue, so it's not going to give you the best teal. So if you have any other blue that has like a hint of green, that would be better to use. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the white. I have this good spot, so I'm going to start right there. And now instead of making light yellow, I'm going to make light blue. So I'm just going to grab a touch of my blue, mix it into my white, and I'm going to make about medium to medium light blue here. So it doesn't have to stay as light anymore. We can go a little bit darker this time. And now to this medium to light blue, I'm going to just a tiny, tiny dot of yellow. Do you see? Very, very little. Because if you add too much yellow, it's going to turn green, and we don't want it green. We want it to have like a hint of green, but we don't want it green. We want it blue. So just a tiny touch of that yellow should bring you to the right color here. See, it's a nice teal color. And that would be my next color following my green here. And again, one way you can do it is you dab it or add it whatever way, and then you grab paper towel, and with the paper towel, you dab away the edge where 2 colors connect. Do you see? Towards the previous color, creating a really beautiful transparent layer of paint. And we'll create a really nice blending right here. You see, super foggy. Alternatively, you can rub it. So you can do like this. And rub up that edge, that connection between the 2 colors. And again, it creates a beautiful foggy transition between the colors. And you can just dab or dry brush as well. That will also work. Just make sure you don't use too much paint on your brush if you decide to only use a brush. You see, I'm rubbing it very, very lightly using my brush, super, super flat to achieve that look. You see, I'm overlapping my pinks and purples just a little bit as well because you don't want them to look completely separate. You need to merge all your colors. So you're going to be overlapping all the nearby colors, not just the yellow or just the green. Everything that you come close to, you're going to overlap a little bit. No, we can't do just the tree yet. You can go ahead. If you're ready for your tree, go ahead. But we need to finish our background first here. How do you make the teal again? So you're going to start by making light to medium blue. So you just take white and then to the base of your white, a little add blue until you get to the right shade. And I would say stop at about medium light. Then you take just the tiniest smidge of yellow on your brush and you add it into this medium to light blue and you mix it up. And it will give you teal. If it doesn't give you teal right away, continue adding yellow little by little. Add a little bit of yellow, mix it up, see what color it gives you. If it gives you teal, great. If it doesn't, add a little bit more yellow. Now, if you accidentally add too much yellow and it turns green, not to worry, just add more white and more blue to bring it back to teal color from green. But ideally, go very careful with green, with adding yellow, and only add little by little so you don't have to deal with and back to teal. So just try not to get into that situation. But if you do, that's okay. You can fix it. All right. Anyone else has any questions? So if you're saying when you dab, it picks up the paint underneath, it could be two options. Could be that your paint underneath is still super, super wet, so it picks it up and you have too much paint. If that's not the case and it picks it up in a way that it just picks up the chunks of a dry paint off your canvas, it means actually you're not using enough paint. So you need to up the amount of paint that you use in that case. But sometimes it just happens with a certain brands of paint. Paint varies so much by brand, so you never know. Different brands react to different techniques different. It really varies. Right, so here's my second color, and I have two more, guys. After this, I'm going to move to my medium blue. So if you still have a bit of teal here, you can just grab a bit of blue and add it in. Do you see? I used my teal as a base, and I just added some blue to it to make more like a medium blue this time. You see, it's darker, but it's not the same as dark blue. Dark blue is still darker. And you can use any blue for this, but again, if you have colder blues, like a greener blue, that would definitely be better than ultramarine blue. But either one should work. And that would be our next one. But again, you can dab, you can rub with a paper towel, you can dab with a paper towel, you can rub with a brush, whichever technique works for you. All right. And after that, I only have one more color to go here, but I'm going to give you guys a second to make sure no one is falling behind. So when you have this, give me thumbs up. Let me know in chat. Say I'm good to go. I'm ready. You can do the thumbs up emoji. And then we'll move to our next color. Yes, I can definitely show you the bottle of my student grade acrylic. Oops. This is the bottle. You see, it's a Start brand 2-liter bottle. This is what we use. And we buy it in curries. So if you are in Ontario, I'm pretty sure they deliver all across Ontario. If you're not in Ontario, they may not be able to deliver to you. I don't know. I would say search around where you live and see if any store around you carries this one. Yeah, but I would highly recommend it. It's really good. We have also used Artist Loft paint for certain colors in past. It was pretty good too. So if that's the paint that you can get access to, you can get that one. All right, I see a couple thumbs ups, but not too many. I'm going to give you guys a couple more minutes. Do we have regular lessons? We have all kinds of lessons. If by regular you mean like Zoom classes, yes, we do. That's right. We have them pretty much every day, and you can find them on our website. It is artistpaletedurham.com. I'll put it in chat here. And if you are referring to regular classes as in-person classes, we do, but not during pandemic, of course. But we will once it's safe and legal to do so, then definitely yes. But for now, it's just virtual. All right, I just put the website link to the live chat here. For those who are interested, take a look. We also have lots of videos there, video tutorials. All right, lots of thumbs ups. Good job, guys. Perfect, let's move to our last color here. So I'm gonna wash my brush and I'm gonna grab the darkest blue. So in my case, this is my primary blue straight from the bottle, not mixed with anything. In your case, I would say use the darkest blue that you have. Whatever that is, the darkest blue, use that. Doesn't matter what is the name of it. And it doesn't matter whether it's on the purple side or more on the greener side. As long as it's dark, it will work. And again, you can dab, you can rub, you can use paper towel, you can use a brush, whatever works for you. You're gonna darken up this corner here. So first I'm gonna cover up all this uncovered white canvas. And of course, then I'm gonna overlap it. I'm gonna rub it or dab it to blend it into my previous colors. That's a good idea. Sponge works too. Whatever you guys have, get creative with this. Absolutely. Whatever works for you. So this is pretty much our background. It is done. Why do you have to overlap it? Because if you don't, they're going to look like they're from the different story. They're going to look more like cutouts. It is better for blending purposes to overlap it. That way the transition between the two tones is smoother. If you don't overlap it, it's usually pretty hard to make them connect seamlessly and merge them into each other. Color-wise, they usually look more like you cut them out from color paper and stick them on, and possibly blend it a little in between, but you don't get this really good merging in between. So it is actually very important for this particular painting and this particular background to overlap your colors. Yeah, potentially. You guys are free to suggest stuff. If there's certain things that you feel like you would like us to make paintings for, you're free to suggest, because we're always looking for ideas for the next month. At this point, we're looking into March, maybe even the end of March, beginning of April. So if you have suggestions, please feel free to them in chat. We will consider all of them 100%. We actually find it super, super helpful when you do that, because then we know what you guys are interested in, right? So go ahead, suggest all of them. We'll take all of them into consideration, absolutely. And also feel free to check out what we already have scheduled. We have a lot of different themes and a lot of different events coming up. I'm actually gonna send you a link in a live chat here to event page on our Facebook, so you can see what we already have scheduled, because things that you might suggest we might already have, which is great. And again, when you guys have it, give me thumbs up so we can move on to our branches. All right, I just sent link in live chat here. So if you click on that link, it will bring you to all our events, to our event page on Facebook. So you will see everything that we have scheduled for the next month. So see if anything there catches your attention. All right, I see lots of thumbs ups. Harry Potter. Actually, by the way, guys, talking about that, not Harry Potter specifically, but I will definitely consider that one too, because that's a fun one. Lisa made a painting for Lord of the Rings. Yes, that's right. So feel free to check it out. We haven't posted the event for it yet, but I promise you it is coming, and we're going to post it in the next little while. But it is going to come in March, I think. And it's going to be a free event on here on YouTube as well. So if you subscribe, YouTube will notify you once we go live with that one as well. So feel free to do that. Yes, you're very welcome. You can catch up later. Absolutely. Yeah, the video will stay right here. All right. I see lots of good to goes. Perfect. So now we're going to move on to our branches. And we're going to do our branches in a couple different colors. I'm going to start with black, and then we're going to add some brown in lighter color and some white highlights. But for now, we're just going to do black, and we're going to do it in a couple different brushes as well. We're going to start with a medium brush, and we will start with the thicker branches. So the thicker branches we're going to do with a medium brush, and then really, really small ones we're going to do with a brush. And you just switch to small brush at any point once you feel like medium brush is not doing it for you anymore, it's just getting too difficult to get them the right width, you can always switch to a one lower, one smaller. So go one size down and you'll be just fine. And the small branches, it's very important that we do with the smallest brush because the small branches need to be really nice and thin. Now, another thing you need to know about branches. All our branches, all of them will have to be thicker where they connect to the main branch and thinner on the ends. All branches will have to be thicker where they grow from. So we're going to start with this branch right here. So that branch is going to be thicker. And as you go further, it's going to get thinner, thinner, and super thin on the end. So it's very important. And you don't have to get that from one line. It's very hard to do it with just one line. Start with one line, and then you can always thicken it up a little bit here. But make sure this line stays thin. So I would say start with a thin line-ish, and then you can make it thicker where it needs to be thicker. Yeah, and all the remaining branches, we will add them out of the existing branches always. So always, this is the branch, you're going to start from the inside and bring it out, never from the outside. And again, you're going to push a little bit more on your brush as you start, so your branch is thicker where it begins, and then it gradually needs to get thinner as you go further. And try to get really thin, pointy ends to your branches. Now, to answer your question, how do you make black? You do not make black. You need to have black. You cannot make black. Brown, I'll tell you how to make later once we get there. But if you have pre-mixed, you're absolutely free to use your pre-mixed. Your canvas is not dry, that's okay. It doesn't have to be. As long as the color, your paint sticks, it's totally fine. Yes, we actually do have tulips not coming up in March, but we do have them in a library because we already did events with tulips before. Do you have a St. Patty's Day painting? We do. We're going to be posting free event for it tonight. So stay tuned, guys. It's coming on our Facebook page. So I promise that it's coming tonight. So stay tuned for it. Actually, I have a painting for it somewhere. Let me see. Yeah, this one. So we'll be teaching this for free here on YouTube for St. Patty on the actual day. So feel free to join us. All right, branches, branches, branches. Start with medium brush and black paint. So put some black paint on your palette. And I'm going to use the top edge of my medium brush because I find it gives me finer lines. All right, now I'm going to start my main branch from somewhere around here, and it's going to go like this, down, up, and just don't make it straight, pretty much. You can totally give it different shape, that's okay, or you can make your shape exactly like mine. All that is completely up to you. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go up, a little bit down, and up. So that's the start for my branch. Now, do you see the line, the end here is super, super thin, and it's a bit thicker where it starts. But now I'm going to even it up. I mean, I'm going to get rid of this mess right here, and I will make it thicker. It needs to be much, much thicker where it begins right here. So I'm going to thicken it up. Do you see? It's a gradually getting thinner branch. Thicker here, gradually thinner. If yours is different shape, that's okay, not a problem at all. Just make sure shape doesn't matter here. Make sure it's not straight. You don't want a straight line, and you don't want it even. You want it thicker here, thinner there. Main goal. Where can we share our paintings? You can share it on event page on our Facebook for this particular painting. Also, you can share it anywhere you want on our Facebook in any comments, but it is best if you share it on the event page specifically for this painting. That way, everyone who participated in this event can also share all in the same thread, and then you guys can see each other's paintings as well, which is a lot of fun. What about Black History Month theme? That's a good theme, 100%. So this is my brush. For those of you who are requesting to see my brush, it's just a medium square brush, nothing special. At the end of its life, this brush is like living on a prayer. It's not doing very well. If you don't have black, you can use any other dark color that you have. Just make sure it's super dark as you, whatever is the darkest that you have, feel free to use it. Yes, I'm just using black. Just straight black. Now, once we have this one main branch, we're going to start adding smaller branches. Now, those are not going to be very small, but they're definitely going to be smaller than this one. And I'm going to start by putting one right here. So it's going to start somewhere around here. It's going to go like this. Ish. Again, if yours is a little different shape, no big deal. Just make sure you get it as thin as you can on the end and a bit thicker where it starts, but nowhere near the thickness of this brush. This one branch is much thicker. It is the thickest one. None of the other ones should be as thick as that one. All right, guys, now I'm gonna add another branch right here. So I'm gonna start it, I would say somewhere around here. So that's our 2 branches. Then one more I'm gonna add from around here. And I'll add a couple of smaller ones. They're not going to be very, very small yet, but definitely smaller than all existing ones. I'm going to add one right here. And if you find that you're having a difficult time doing those with a medium brush, you're welcome to switch to a smaller brush at this point. That's okay. But if your medium brush still works for you, you can continue using your medium brush. And if you're using medium square, use just the very tip of your brush. And if you're using medium pointy brush, you can use just, if you use a medium square brush, you're going to use the top edge of your brush. And if you use a medium pointy brush, you can use just the very tip of your brush. You see all my branches, I'm starting from the existing branch and bring them out. And all of them are thicker where they start and thinner on the ends. And again, the smallest branches, we're still going to smaller branches. We're right now on like a medium small, but we still have much smaller branches to go. And you can position your branches exactly like what I'm positioning mine, or you can do your own thing. As long as you make it mostly even and just create it the way you want it. Don't leave certain areas completely uncovered. You don't want to have area that has tons of branches and an area that's completely empty. So just try to position them somewhat even. I'm going to give you guys a second to add your medium branches, and then we're going to move to our smaller branches. And in the meantime, I'm going to wash off my medium brush because I am not going to be using it next. I'm going to use my small brush for the next step, but you definitely have a bit more time for your smaller branches. Oh, sorry, for your medium branches. Do we ever use a palette knife? We don't, but only because we don't want to assume that everyone has a palette knife, and we just try to use supplies that are accessible for everyone or that we think most people will have in their houses. If you have a palette knife, you use it, it will give you a you can create a beautiful tree bark-like texture with a palette knife. So absolutely, that's a great idea, 100%. Good to go, that's great. How is everyone else? What Brush said, or brands do I recommend? To be honest with you, I don't have a favorite brush set. My brushes are kind of from all over the place. Some of them are from dollar stores, some of them are from Amazon, some of them are from Liesel, so I don't know. They're all over the place, literally. Some of them are from Curry's, and I can't tell you that some of them are much better than others. The only thing I would better for me using the type of paint that I use is to buy synthetic brushes versus natural hair. I find that synthetic brushes last longer, again, for me personally, and for acrylic painting. So that's what I can recommend for you. As far as brand, I don't have any that I can recommend. All right, now let's add small branches. So for small branches, use the smallest brush that you have. And I would highly suggest that you water down your black a little. I find that it's much, much easier to work with more liquid paint when we do fine details. So I am just putting a couple drips of water into my black and mixing them up. And then I will use that for my small branches. All right, and I'm gonna add lots of small branches in all different places. It's completely up to you where you add them and how you add them. Now, there are a couple important things about your branches. Important thing number one, they need to be long and flowy. You cannot make them short and stubby. So this is a no. It's gonna make it look like a spike versus a branch. And your tree is gonna turn into cactus. So don't do that. What you wanna do is nice and flowy. So you always start from the existing branch, push a little harder when you start, and then slowly let it go as you go further. And you will see your branch will be thicker where you start and thinner on the end, and make them nice and flowy. You can make smaller branches coming from full branches. You can make as many branches as you want. Just nice and long and flowy, no stubby spikes. And also, you don't want them to look like someone came and just cut off those branches. Someone came with a saw or someone just broke them. You don't want them to look like a broken branches. And if you find that some of your existing branches don't have a nice fine end, you can always add it now with a small brush as well. Do you have to add them? Not. If you don't want them, don't add them. If you're happy with the amount of branches you already have, by all means, keep this one. All right, so here are all my small branches. To answer your question, we do have an awesome artist whose name is Karen. She teaches the pencil sketches. So if you guys are interested, feel free to check out either events on our Facebook page or on our website. Yeah, Karen is pretty awesome. What time does this go to? Well, that depends. That depends how fast you guys paint. We can finish it in the next 10 minutes if everything goes crazy fast, or it could be another hour. You just never know. I'm gonna put the website in chat here for you. So I put it in chat, you'll see it. So there, when you click on it, go under events, and then under events, choose drawings, drawing classes, and you'll see all the drawing classes that we have coming up. And also check out our Facebook. We might have some videos on, we actually not might, we have for sure some videos on our Facebook page, some past tutorials, videos from them posted on our Facebook for drawings. So let me see if I can find it. Yes, okay. So here's a link to some videos on our Facebook. For those who are interested in drawing, there are definitely a few there. Good. And guys, if there are certain areas in bridges that you're not quite happy with, we can always cover them with flowers. So don't worry about that. If you love them, great. If there are certain ones that you're like, could be better, that's okay. We'll just add flower there. Now, what I want to do quickly is, before we move too much further, you see those ends here, the corners? Let's splatter a little over them. So for splattering, I'm going to use my large brush, and I'm going to use some white paint. So I'm going to grab some white paint. Let me tell you what not to do. You see, I just grabbed some white paint right on the tip of my brush. That's what you don't want to do, because if you start splattering with, when you have a paint like that, just on the tip of your brush, it's going to fly like a big blob. It's not going to look pretty. What you want to do is you want to water down, A, very important, water down your paint, and B, rub it into all the bristles of your brush. Do you see? Now all this watered down paint everywhere in my brush, so it's not just on a tip, it's all the way in, and it needs to be watered down. Now there are two different ways you can splatter, actually more than that. One way, you can just put your painting and do this. Do you see? It's going to be, let's say, one medium, one large. Again, you're going to have watered down paint on your large brush, and a medium brush you can hold in another hand close to your canvas. And then with a brush with paint, you dab on it. And try to do it super close to canvas, because if you don't do it close to canvas, you're going to end up with paint on your face and not on your canvas. So keep it close to your canvas. And the last way you can splatter, you can just take your finger and do it like this. It's going to give you much smaller splatter. So either one, just choose just a little bit one of those techniques on the corners of your painting. And then do a little cleanup, because splatter has a tendency to go places where we don't want it to go. So if it got on something where you don't want it to be, clean it up right away, because once it dries, it's not going anywhere. It's going to stay there. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to quickly check out and see if I got splatter anywhere where it shouldn't be. All right, not too much this time for me. So do you see I added a splatter on these darker corners, right? There's no need to go right in the middle. You're not going to see it very well there anyway. It's mostly important that you go somewhere around here. And then I'm going to wash off my large brush. And then we're going to move on to some brown, and we're going to add a bit of a brown highlight to our branches. So now brown is a tricky color to mix if you're aiming for a particular shade of brown. If not, mix all the colors on your plate and they'll give you some shade of brown, but that's not how we're going to mix it. I'm going to use my medium brush for brown, and I'm going to mix some yellow. I'm going to grab some yellow. I'm going to grab some red, mix them up. I'd say about equal parts, maybe a little more red than yellow. And then I'll add just a little bit of black to it. Not too much, not equal parts. You see, turned into brown. But now, because I want to add that brown over my black, I have to add a little bit of white to it. Otherwise, I'm not going to see it once it dries. So it's important that I just grab a little bit of white and mix it in. Yeah, splattering only looks easy. Okay, so do you see I mixed some brown and it has some white in it? If you have pre-mixed brown, any shade of brown will work, but I would suggest something not too dark. So if your brown is very dark, just add a little bit of white. If you missed how to mix brown, that's red and yellow, about equal parts. A bit more or less, doesn't matter, but about equal parts. Then just a touch of black to make it into brown, and then some white. And with this, I'm going to go and I'll add just a couple brush strokes very lightly on the upper part of my thicker branches. You don't have to add it to every single branch. For the branches that are a bit thicker, I'm going to add like a little flick, bit of a brush stroke on them. It doesn't have to be on all of them. See right here? It's hard to see. For some reason, my camera doesn't pick it up very much. I'm actually going to make it lighter just so you guys can see it better. I'm not sure why it's not picking it up very well here. And then I'm going to wash off my medium brush and I'm going to grab my small brush. And I'm going to grab just a little bit of white paint. With a small brush and just a little bit of white paint, I'm going to add the tiniest little highlight to my branches. Again, you don't have to do it on all the branches. You can just choose a couple and do it on those couple. I would recommend starting with the thickest ones, with the main branches. But if you want to do it on some of the main branches, not even all of them, all right, and our branches are ready. Give me a thumbs up, guys, and then we'll move on to our flowers. Good to go, yes. Where do I put the brown? On the upper parts. Do you see right here? And on the upper parts of some of the bigger branches as well. Not on top of them, not over them. Still on a branch, just on the upper half. Now, after that, we're gonna move on to our flowers. And we're gonna do flowers in two colors. We're gonna do them in blue. I would say it's like a medium to light blue and in pinky-ish purple color. So I'm gonna start with blue ones, but what's very important is our branches. This black needs to be fully dry. If your black is not dry yet, you don't have to do it now. You can just watch me do it and do it once your black is dry. We're not in rush. Again, the video is gonna stay up here forever, so you can do it anytime. Don't rush. In my case, my black is fully dry. My paint dries really fast. So I'm gonna move on to my flowers. So I'm gonna start with my medium brush and that medium to light blue. So I'm gonna start by taking some white. I'll put it up right here. I'll take some blue, mix it up, make this kind of blue. You see, it's about medium light, I would say. And these flowers are super simple. They're just flicks using a medium brush from the outside in towards the center. Let me show you. However, if you prefer to have different shape or different look for your flowers, absolutely go for it. You don't have to do the exact flowers that I'm showing you. You can do your own flowers. But mine are super simple. It's just flick from the outside in. You see? Now that's a flower. And some of them are going to be bigger, some of them are going to be smaller. So I usually start by positioning only big flowers. And I'm going to try to keep the bigger flowers, the blue flowers, to this section. If you had a two maybe here flicks, that's fine. But generally, I want them around this section. And then because this is a blue background, right? So blue flower is going to go here. And this is a pink or purple background, and the pink or purple flowers go here. But if you add one, let's say blue here and one pink purple here, that's okay too. You can mix and match them. So I'm going to start by adding a couple of those bigger flowers on the side, anywhere you want. There are no particular areas where you have to add them. And another goal is try to make them different sizes. You don't want to have a copy-paste flower. You don't want every next flower look exactly like the previous one. The more variety you have with your flowers, the better. So try to get them different sizes if possible. Maybe one more. So I have quite a few flowers here on the side. So now I'm gonna finish the rest. So they're gonna be a little like leaves, or maybe they are unopened flowers that we're gonna add along the branches here. So how we're gonna do, they're gonna be flicked So watch me do this branch and you'll get the idea. So it like flicks from the outside in, pointing towards the branch. One on the end, do you see? With my medium brush. And one on the side from the outside in. And a couple going down, following the same branch. And a couple more on the other side. So with that, we're gonna fill in the branches here. So not all of them have to be as big. Some of them can be smaller, and it's not always going to be that many. You can have just one on each side. That's okay too. Or a couple. Let me show you. So for example here, do you see I'm only doing one side, for example. Doesn't have to be always two sides. Or here. See, it's just a couple on each side. We're going to add a few of those. And then once I have this, I'm going to move to my other color. So those flowers on the other side are going to be more like a pinky purple color. So I'm going to wash off my brush, and I'm going to start with white here. So I'm going to wash off my brush, and then I'm going to scoop some white on the side, and I will add just a little bit of red to make nice, somewhat light pink, not to be just crazy light. Medium pink is good. And then if you want to, you can add just a little bit of blue to it to make it a little bit more purple. Just give it a hint of purple. Or you can keep it just pink. It doesn't have to have a hint of purple. That's okay too. I'm going to show you guys how to do flower again in a second. Just let me finish mixing this color. So I have a color to show you with. So I think this will work well for my purpley flowers. Again, it could be more purple or more pink. All that is totally fine. It doesn't have to be that exact color. But any pink, purple-ish side is good. So flowers is super, super simple. You flick your brush from the outside in towards the middle. Here's your flower. Some can be bigger, some can be smaller. So now we're gonna add a whole bunch of those flowers on the side right here. And you can also add flower here and there on the side too. You don't have to just keep them to that side. Majority of them should be on the side, but if you want to add a flower here and there on the side, that's okay too. And of course, I'm gonna add a couple of those fillers. So like this, from the flicking from the outside in. And you can add a couple of those on the other side too if you want to. So I'm quite happy with the amount of the flowers and those filler leaves that I have. So I'm gonna stop. I don't want to be adding any more. But you guys continue going until you feel like you have enough. I'm gonna stop. Aw, thanks for joining us. Yeah, whenever you're ready to come back and finish it, it will be here. Happy food making. All right, guys, and after this, I'm gonna take a little bit of black on my medium brush, and I'll just dab up the centers of my flower. So I'll add a little dab in black or a few in the middles of my flowers. Yes, happy eating, 100%. I'm so glad, Angela. Me too. This background is so beautiful. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us. And then, guys, last couple things that we're going to do. So after that, I'm going to wash off my brush. I'm going to grab some white and I'm going to highlight You see some of those flicks, filler flicks, they have white, and it's usually those that are a bit closer to the edge, but really it doesn't matter. Whichever ones you want to highlight, you can. So just grab a bit of white on your medium brush and go ahead and highlight them. Don't have to highlight all of them, but if you want to highlight all of them, you also can. It's completely up to you which ones you're going to highlight and which ones you're not. Just highlight some of them. And it's exact same way. So in the exact same motion, you're going to do the exact same thing right over the ones that you have in color already. It's just this time you're going to use a little bit of white. And you see, you only use a touch of white, because if you use a whole big blob, it's going to be blobby and it's going to cover the whole thing, and you don't want that. You want to just add a highlight, so use only a little bit of paint. If you're just joining us now, you didn't miss it. It's all good. The video is going to stay up right here, so you can do this anytime. You see, the white really makes it pop around the edges. And then the very last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple dabs of white in the middles of my flowers as well. Just a few. And that is pretty much it. Doesn't that look so beautiful? If you guys, it's not on a painting, but I'm just going to give you options. If you want to highlight your flowers as well, even though it's not on a painting, you can. So give it a thought. Maybe you would want to, maybe not, that's okay. And if you want to add a couple bigger dots on a background, do you remember how we splattered? So maybe you can't really see your splatter. Maybe your splatter is really fine. So if you wanted to add a couple more visible dots, what you could do, you could just grab the end of any brush, ideally the more rounded one, not painting end, dip it in white, and just add a couple dots here and there in on a background. I wouldn't be doing it just because my splatter was pretty thick, so it's very, very visible, as you can see. But if yours is thin or like a really small splatter and you want to have a couple more dots visible, you could do that. And of course, after that, guys, last and very important thing is for you to sign it. So grab a small brush and sign it anywhere you would prefer. You can put your initials, your name, anything that you would like. And if you did your edges as we went and you did color match, you wrapped every color around the canvas, edge of your canvas, then it's great. You're all done. If not, you can color match now. Go back and make those colors and wrap them around the edges. It's going to be a lot of work, but it is very rewarding. If you want to take a bit of an easier road, what you could do, you could choose one color that's present on your painting, ideally darker color, maybe pink, maybe purple or dark blue, and cover all your edges with that color. Or even better way is you could just grab black, because black is universally good color for the edges, and paint all your edges with black. That way all these colors right here are going to pop really well against that black edge. And you're not going to have those unfinished, weird looking, messy edges. So when you hang it, it's going to look super cool from every angle. Now, guys, I'm still going to hang out with you for a couple of minutes here. So if you have any questions, ask them all in live chat. I'll be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. And if you want to share your results with us, you can take a photo and you can post it on our Facebook on event page. I'm going to make a thank you post very shortly with a link to this video, just in case someone wasn't able to make it and they would like to rewatch it later. So feel free. Right now, there are no posts there that allow comments, but that post will have that comment option enabled. So you can post them in comments all there. That way, everyone who participated can go there and see all the paintings together in one spot, which is perfect because that way not only us get to see it, but everyone else, and that just makes us all feel like we're actually together doing this. So I put a link right here, right now in live chat. This is a link to our Facebook, to this event page, in case you wanted to post your results there. But anywhere on our Facebook page in general is good, in under any comment. Go for it. We would love to see them. Now, guys, feel free to check out all the other events that we have coming up. We do free events at least twice a week, so there's always something new. And we do lots of Zoom events. We do Zoom events pretty much every day on our website, so feel free to check that out as well. I posted website earlier in a chat here, but I'll post it again in case anyone is interested, and I'll post a link to our event page on Facebook in case you want to check out what we have coming up free, because we have a lot of those. This is our website I just posted. And, oops. Here's a link to where you can see what events we have, including the free events coming up in the next month. And if you guys had fun, you can tip me. I'll never say no to that. You don't have to. This event is completely free. There's no obligation. I'm just happy you're painting with me because I love doing this. But if you want to say thank you through tipping me, I would never say no to that either. I will post a PayPal link here that you could use to do that if you would like to. All right. The link is there. Yes, tips are always greatly appreciated, but never an obligation. Does anyone have questions? Guys, ask away if you do. Yes, I'm so glad. So glad you enjoyed it. That's right. You can definitely stream it on your TV. That's always a great option because then you can see everything so big. It's perfect for painting. Yeah, guys, all your suggestions, everything that you suggest in chat, we will definitely consider all of them, I promise you. So feel free to put all the suggestions. Even if I don't read it right now, we will go back through the comments later to see what you guys suggested, and we will use those suggestions for the upcoming months. But yeah, a lot of things that you suggested we actually already have created. And you can check out the YouTube channel right here because we have quite a few of the things that you suggested already here on YouTube. So feel free to take a look. But if not, we will definitely make them. Yes, splattering is a lot of fun. Buying supplies is money well spent. 100%. Oh, that's nice of you to make it as a gift. That's great. Hmm. 27 brushes, that's great. All right, let me show you how to highlight flowers since there's a request I see for highlighting flowers. Very simple, the exact same way that you did your flower. You're just gonna take a little bit of white on your brush, same brush, and in exact same way, you're just gonna flick it from the outside in. You see, very simple. What brand of paint have we used? This one. That's the brand, Start Acrylics. So just Google and see if it's available around you. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us. I'll see you again soon. Bye, guys.